should I look? Who wants me to look at them? Yeah, thanks for having me, D&AD. It's lovely to be here. It's way too early to do a talk. I hate talking this early, but I'm just going to try and muddle through it. Hopefully I'll kind of work out as I go along. So, yeah. My talk's called 37 Things I've Learnt. First of all, a little introduction into me. I was born here. In 1998, I played bingo in Maidstone in Kent. I won £141 and 27p and got the nickname Bingo. And I just added a Mr. to it a bit later on when I was trying to become an illustrator. I like drawing people on trains. I like taking photos of children when they match objects perfectly. I collect postcards with one person in. I worked as a commercial illustrator for 15 years, doing stuff for magazines, advertising, book covers, big stuff on walls, whoopee cushions. And I did this project called Hate Mail, where I basically convinced members of the public to pay me. So I started doing this in 2011, convinced members of the public to pay me to send them offensive postcards. Turned into art by mistake, got loads of press, people really enjoyed it, and then I did a Kickstarter for this book about the project. For my Kickstarter, I decided to make a rap video which looked like this.
Before the internet, communication was more intimate. You wrote a letter, got an envelope and put it into it. Then, as if some act of magic like a unicorn, you put it in a red box and a man in a uniform takes it, puts it in his bag and delivers it. Now pay attention to this section if you still give a shit.
By the way, just saying. So, influencer. But yeah, so it funded in 9 hours, which was mental, 9 hours. And then I decided at this point, I'm actually just going to stop working for clients. I deleted my website, just took it off the internet and decided to call myself an artist, so now I'm an artist. So this is my talk. That's an introduction to me. This is my talk, 37 things I've learned. I'm just going to tell you 37 things I've learned in the last 20 years. So first thing, don't have a plan. I hate plans. I never have any plans for anything. I don't like to plan stuff because I feel that plans are kind of, they constrict me, you know? They make things difficult. I don't like plans. Selling art is better than selling coffee and computers. What I'm talking about here is when I worked as a commercial illustrator, I did a lot of stuff like this. I did jobs in advertising. I hated doing this. I did this because it paid me loads of money and I could afford to do things like live in a house and eat food. But I didn't enjoy doing stuff like this, and it left me feeling kind of dead and soulless at the end of it. You know, I'd rather be doing stuff like this, work that no one asked me to do, that I just want to do because I enjoyed it, you know? And the problem with working for clients is you get these annoying conversations where they come to me and they were kind of like, I was known for doing edgy work. I don't think I do edgy work. I think I just do honest work. But anyway, clients would come to me and they'd be like, hey, can you do something edgy? We want our brand to be cool and edgy. And I'd say, yeah, okay, what about that? And they'd go, oh, no, it's too edgy, it's too edgy. Could we try a version where maybe she, you know, has clothes on and isn't bending over? And I say, well, yeah, I can do that. But it wouldn't be my work. So anyway, we're all creative once. This is something that a lot of people don't realize. You know, when you meet people and they say, I don't know how to be creative. I wish I was creative. It's like everyone is creative, really, because we're all creative when we're children. This is me doing a drawing when I was about 2 or 3 or something. And by the way, if you ever do a talk, always show a baby picture. People think you're sweet. You know, basically, children are all creative because they're all doing these drawings, and they've got this wonderful imagination, and they're playing and coming up with stories. And there's just this sad fact of life that as people get older and turn into grown-ups, they just forget to do all this, and they stop being creative, and they kind of put suits on and go to work in offices and stuff. So basically, we were all creative once. It's just a lot of people have forgotten how to do it when they get older. If you do nothing, nothing happens. It's a really obvious thing to say, but you know these people, you know hipsters? There's a lot of them around here. I get accused of being a hipster a lot, actually, because I live in East London. Wear colourful clothes and you know, do creative stuff. But the difference between me and these people is a lot of hipsters, I find, they kind of stand around in like coffee bars and stay up late at night taking drugs and cool raves and things. And they have all these conversations and they go on and on talking about these creative ideas they've got and these projects they want to do. Like they say, yeah, I've got this really cool idea for like a blog about cats. Yeah, I've got this really amazing idea for like a film that I'm going to make about poetry. But they never actually do anything. And the difference between me and these people is I actually do stuff. I actually work all the time in my studio and make stuff happen. And if you've got an idea for a project, you should just start it, right? You know, an idea in your head is just a waste of time because unless you're in prison and you're incarcerated in a cell for 23 hours a day, then that idea is great because it kind of keeps you interested and you know, enthused about life. But most of you here, well, all of you aren't in prison because you're obviously here. So, you know, just start a project. And if you've got an idea for a project that you want to start and you haven't started it yet, just do this. Open a file on your computer and just give it a name. And then you've started the project. You've started the first second of that bit of work. Don't chase money. I never, whenever I come up with an idea for doing stuff, I'm never motivated by like financial gain or how much money it might potentially make. What I'm motivated by is just doing great stuff and doing funny work. And what I find is if you do good work and you don't think about the financial benefits at the end of it, if you do work that's good enough, eventually money will start chasing you. So like, I did this thing in 2007. I came up with this idea of just drawing hair. I called it hair portraits, and I did Star Wars and porn stars and thinkers, Guns N' Roses, and people really liked it, and it got picked up a lot and talked about. People enjoyed it, and then I got loads and loads of commissions off the back of it, which I never thought would happen. And yeah, that's it. There's like so much work came out of that one idea, which is crazy. And what I realized in the last couple of years is people are way more fun than I thought at getting involved in these kind of silly art projects. So first of all, it was crazy that people were buying this, So this was a few years ago. I started doing this project called Hate Mail, as I mentioned earlier. And people were paying me money to send them offensive postcards, which is mental. And they really enjoyed it. And this project was so successful, it's only ever been open for about 3.5 days in actual time because so many people want them. And then when I did the Kickstarter, I did all these really, really weird rewards that you could back my project at. One of them was called Get Shit-Faced on a Train, because I love drinking on trains. I think it's a fun kind of hobby and pastime. And what I did is a lot of my Kickstarter rewards, I kind of came up with ideas of things I like doing and then said to the public, do you want to do this with me? And it turns out people did, which was amazing. So all of this stuff sold out. And I got shit-faced on a train with strangers quite a lot. As well as a sort of like weird kind of art reward project, it was also a kind of social experiment, because what I was doing was taking 5 strangers, saying, right, they all meet each other at the beginning and they're quite shy, and they're like, oh, hi, my name's Paul, I'm a graphic designer, nice to meet you. And then you put them on the train and you give them fuckloads of booze and you fire them through the countryside at sort of 200 miles an hour in this compressed silver tube, and then at the end of it, they're all best friends and they're jumping on each other. It's like a sort of compressed stag do. And they're all, they've got private jokes. One of them's like still got a WhatsApp group. It's amazing. Don't listen to advice. Don't listen to me, don't listen to people. With a lot of the most successful things I've ever done, there's always someone before I've done it that's told me not to do it, and you have to learn to like tune those voices out. When I did my Kickstarter, I'd been doing the Hate Mail project for a few years. I showed my best friend, I said, I'm going to do this Kickstarter for a book about hate mail, and he was like, basically, you should never ever ask your best friends if you think that something's a good idea, because your best friends are bored of you, and they're bored of everything you've done already. And he was like, nah, that's a shit idea for a book, mate. Everyone's bored of that idea. You need to move on. You need to do something new. But what he didn't realize is that there's billions and billions of people out there in the world that have never seen any of your stuff, and there's always a new audience for it. So I did this against his advice, my best friend's advice, and it was the most successful UK crowdfunded book ever. Woo! Never be satisfied. I'm never satisfied with anything I do, really. I'm kind of half happy with it, but I'm never like completely satisfied. I'm never this guy, Don't worry about things when you're in bed. This is just a little bit of life advice. Sometimes when I'm in bed, I get really overwhelmed with the amount of things I have to worry about in life, whatever it is, and I get kind of into this catastrophizing situation because I'm in bed and I just can't get my head around it. And then I get out of bed and I walk or go on a bike or run somewhere, and all my problems disappear. So, don't worry about stuff in bed. Just use beds for sleeping and other stuff. Let children take their own path. Who's got children? Congratulations. I don't have any children, but I used to be a child. I used to do really weird drawings when I was at school. Like this is one of the most complicated ways you can kill someone. I went through a stage of doing these kind of torture drawings, stuff like this. The tutors at my school were worried. The teachers phoned up my parents and they said, we're worried about your son's drawings. We think there's something wrong with him. And my mum, to her credit, said, oh, it's fine. We know he does those. It's cool. Just let him get on with it. And that was great because my mum basically gave me permission at sort of age 9, 10 or something to carry on doing these weird drawings and carrying on being weird, which was really, really good. Trick clients. This is something I always did when I was a commercial illustrator. What this means is basically I'd get a brief from the client, and what I would do is I would decide exactly what I wanted to draw, and then I would convince them that's what they needed. And that was always, I found, the best way, the more satisfying way of working around stuff. This is probably my best example of it, which I did in collaboration with Camden Town Brewery in 2012, where I convinced them to make 5,000 bottles of this. I always think I do my best work when I break up with someone, right? So basically, I used to be married, and my wife was called Sunny, and when I broke up with her, literally about a month later, I started doing hate mail. I'm not saying it's related. I wasn't angry, but and hate mail is like one of the best things I've done. I've made like a quite a good career out of it for the last 5 years or so. I'm always really persistent with everything I do. I really don't like giving up. If I've got an idea of something, I really, really want to do it, I will absolutely just keep going until I've done it. So an example of this is when I made my rap video, I made this mood board for a meeting that I was having on my own, and basically, what this is what I was expecting my rap video to look like. So at the front, that's me, and in the background, you've got my squad. And squads are really important if you're making a rap video. You might have different words for this: squad, crew, gang, posse, roadmen, mandem. Basically, what they do is they're like cool urban people that stand behind you and make you look cool in your rap video. And I thought, what am I going to do? Where am I going to get my squad from? I haven't got a budget to pay real actors to make it look proper, so I could just use my friends, but it'll look a bit like this. So I didn't do that. I put this on the internet, this poster. I was like, yo, do you want to be in a rap video? Send me a cool photo. And loads of people sent photos, and they weren't quite right. They didn't look quite right. It looked a bit like me. I went to an open mic night at Rich Mix Cinema, just down the road, and I saw this kid called DC Scribbler, and he's amazing. He was 17 years old, he was at school, he's half Canadian, half Lewisham, and he was really good, and he came with his own little crew, and I was like, fucking hell, he's perfect. He's a rapper, and he comes with his own little squad. They look good. I want to pay them to be in my video. And I found him on Twitter, and I was like, I've got an opportunity. And he was like, yeah, all right, just DM me, cuz. So I got my squad. And some of those are my friends, but some of them are them. You can kind of tell which ones are them because they're 17 years old. I mean, I know what you're thinking. I groomed a 17-year-old boy online and then got to meet me in a disused graph kind of drug park. And then I gave him 100 cans of Red Stripe and a bag of money. But I think it's okay. Like, no one's complained. It's all fine. You don't always get rewarded for hard work straight away. This is something I find. I spend a lot of my life working really, really late at night on my own, just scribbling away, coming up with ideas, working really hard on this stuff. And sometimes you sort of sit there and think, what's the point in all this? Why am I doing this? Everyone else is at home living normal lives and like couples and going to the cinema and drinking in pubs and going clubbing. And I'm sitting on my own all night just drawing all this stuff. And then I find, actually, it does really pay off because, you spend ages doing this stuff, and then you put it out there, and then later on, the rewards come back. Working with people who do stuff that you can't is something I realized recently. So I've always worked really kind of in a solitary way. I've always been very solo. I've never had a real job. I've never really tried working with other people. But then what I realized recently is if you do work with other people, you really can achieve amazing stuff. I know that's the most cliche sentence ever. I'm sure someone else will say that again today. Only ugly people win the lottery. This is something I just realized recently. It's just a fact. Only ugly people win the lottery. If you're like above a 3 or 4 out of 10, don't enter the lottery. It's not worth it because you'll never win. Do the opposite is something I do a lot. So basically, everyone seems to do the same thing. Lots of creative agencies and ad agencies and design agencies all think they're so creative and cool and different and clever, but a lot of them just do the same thing. A lot of them just follow trends. And I like to do the opposite because it really makes you stand out if you do things differently. So on Black Friday, when everyone else was lowering their prices, I raised mine by 10%, and I sold more stuff than I normally sell in a day, which is ridiculous. I like anti-advertising. I hate advertising, so I like doing kind of anti-advertising. So I put things on Twitter saying, to be honest, my book's a rip-off. You shouldn't actually read it. It only takes 20 minutes to read. Don't buy it, and people buy it. People respect honesty. I've always been really, really honest in everything I've done in my career because I find that the more honest you are, it kind of makes you bulletproof, right? Because people can't pick holes in you if you're totally honest about everything and completely transparent. And I think if you're like a person or a brand or a business or wherever you are, it's really, really important to be honest. It'll get you so much further. I got bored of getting asked to work for free a lot when I was a freelance illustrator. I don't know why this happens a lot in creative industries. You get asked to work for free for a lot. And so I did this kind of little FAQ on my old website, and it just says, does Mr. Bingo work for free? And then when you click on it, this comes up. And that's all you see. That was just the whole website. And it's so angry that you even clicked on it. It tells you to get off the website. And clients really liked this, and I'd get emails from people saying, oh, I saw the thing, but... So people enjoyed that kind of honesty. People liked it so much it even turned into a print. People like laughing. I don't really do serious work or political work or pretty work. I just do funny work, really. I mean, it's just humorous stuff. That's all I do. And I've always liked trying to be funny. So like when I was about 8 years old, I did these drawings of things like words and phrases that are used in football, because I was into football at the time, and I remember showing these to my friends and my parents and their parents' friends, and people were laughing at these, and I got a really nice feeling from that, and I was like, I want to do more funny stuff and make people laugh. It's okay to give up. I don't mean like in life, like kill yourself. I just mean like if you've got creative block, it's okay to give up. A lot of people really struggle with creative block, I find. People are always trying to work out what's the magical answer to creative block, and sometimes there isn't one, right? So people are sitting at their desk and they kind of get really angry and upset because they can't solve a problem, and I think the best thing to do when you've got creative block is just to go away and stop what you're doing. So that's what I do. I just leave my environment, I go for a walk, I stop what I'm doing, do something else for a couple of hours, and the idea will hopefully come to you when it comes. I always come up with good ideas for some reason when I'm in the shower or when I'm cycling. I don't know why that is. It must be something to do with like subconsciously kind of doing some other kind of activity, and then good ideas come to me. I don't know why it is. Being personal is something I've always done with my work. I love social media. I love Twitter and Instagram. I'll talk to anyone that talks to me on these things. Yeah, so this girl sent me a message a few years ago. She's an amateur model, and she said, if Mr. Bingo did a portrait of me, it would make my year. So I just sent her that, and I really love, like, just, that really quick kind of immediate sort of interaction with strangers. This is what really fuels a lot of my work, you know? Everything has an ending. It's kind of sad, right? What I mean is that basically stuff changes and stuff can become obsolete. And, basically, I think one of the reasons a lot of people, creative people, kind of fail, who are like agencies or people working on their own, is because they try and do the same thing forever. And it never works, because you can't do the same thing forever. You've got to kind of change, right? The world changes, like politics and fashion and trends and society, and everything just changes all the time. And you've kind of got to adapt and change with it. Otherwise, you're going to fall off. And, I don't know what I'll be doing next, but it doesn't really bother me, I know whatever I'm doing now, I won't be doing in 5 years, and that's fine. I think everyone should be aware of that. It makes life a lot easier. Don't try to please everyone. It's impossible. I'd always rather do something that, I'd always rather do something that 100 people absolutely loved than 1 million people saw and went, and just forgot it forever. Life goes slower when you're walking. This is just another set of life lesson. This is something I realized recently. Who likes walking? Yeah, and it's good, isn't it? And I don't just mean like walking around cities and stuff. I mean actually really going out there and just walking all day in the countryside. It's amazing. I love it. And so I do a lot of walking, and what I find is life goes slow when you're walking. So like I live in London, and time goes really fast all the time. It's like, brrr, and everyone's always going, oh fuck, it's 6 o'clock already. Where did the day go? But when you're walking, time goes super slow, and the kind of seconds just drip by like this, because nothing's really happening, and it's amazing. So I really recommend going walking all day, because one day walking feels like 3 days in London. High treason's become more relaxed. So high treason is a crime of disloyalty towards the crown, towards your own royal family. And when I did my Kickstarter, one of the rewards I did was called Dirty Queen. And basically what I offered people was a one-off pornographic drawing of Queen Elizabeth II on an envelope, incorporating the postage stamp as her head. And so I was doing this kind of stuff. And so I did these drawings, and as I did them, they were getting a bit more rude as they were going along. And she kind of undresses a little bit more, and then she's getting a bit more revealing, and then there's kind of that. That's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too early. Business is complicated. I like art and humor. I don't like business. I don't like money. Unfortunately, we have to deal with money to live in the world, which is annoying. When I did my Kickstarter, I got 135 grand, and everyone was like, he's fucking rich, he's loaded, he's going to spend the rest of the year just lying on a beach laughing. But it's important for me to dispel the myth that I'm not rich, and I actually spent all the money on my Kickstarter on all this stuff, because I'm not really good at business, like I said. At this point, I gave 8 grand to charity. I really thought I was loaded, actually. I didn't realize, I thought I had more money than I thought, and I was like, charity. So I sort of regret that a bit, but it's good anyway. And it's also good for me to tell you that I gave money to charity, because again, like the baby picture, people like you if you give money to charity. Anyone can be an artist, I think. There's like a very snooty kind of thing in the art world, the real sort of fine art world, that to be an artist, I asked a gallery owner, this woman I know, what is an artist? And she said, I think it's this. It's an artist is someone who is accepted as an artist by the art world. Now, I don't really care about that. I don't have to be accepted by the art world. Fuck that. I'm just going to call myself an artist, If I do a drawing and I sell it to you, I'm an artist. Doing nothing's good for you. This is something I realized a couple of years ago. I was kind of like, I'd done the Kickstarter one, I'd done a rap video. The problem is, if you do a rap video, that's the peak of your career, okay? You're never, ever going to do something that good again, and it's just going to be a downhill sort of slant from then on. And everyone comes up to you, and they're like, hey, what's your next big thing? What's your next big thing? You did that cool thing. What's your next cool thing? And maybe I haven't got another cool thing. I don't know. Maybe I've run out of ideas. And so what I did is I hired a motorhome. I had this idea that basically I was going to be a sort of cliche artist, and I hired a motorhome, and I drove around the UK for a couple of weeks on my own, and I thought what I'd do is I'd drive around, and I'll be inspired by nature and stuff, and the sea, and little villages, and I'll come up with my next amazing big idea. And so I went off, and then what I did is, after like a couple of days, I realized I wasn't coming up with any ideas, and I kind of wasn't bothering, and I thought, maybe I should just have a break. And I kind of listened to my gut instinct, which was just saying to me, stop working, okay? You've been working really, really fucking hard since you were about 19 years old. Maybe you should just stop and see what happens. So I stopped working, which was a really difficult thing for me to do. I'd never really done that before. And I just went walking every day for about 15 miles along the coast, around sort of Cornwall area. And I spent a lot of time listening to music and looking at the sea. You know, things like Changes by Black Sabbath. Has anyone ever driven a motorhome? It's really difficult, right? Basically, this is the only drawing I did of the whole trip. And what happened is I crashed the fucking motorhome. Driving a motorhome basically is, if you're used to driving a car, driving a motorhome, the kind of human equivalent is like waking up one day and having a 3-meter arse. And I couldn't control it, and I was going down all these small little like Cornish fishing villages and stuff, and I crashed into this car in a car park. The owner wasn't there. I had to leave this note. It was horrible, saying, I'm sorry, I've crashed into your car. And for the insurance purposes, I had to do a drawing of the incident. So this was the only drawing I did in the whole 2.5 weeks I was away. It's the worst and weirdest drawing I've ever done in my life. This is my last slide. Don't listen to anything I've said too importantly, because, like any other human, I'm full of flaws and contradictions. I'm only human. You know, a lot of people, when they see people speaking on stage, they think they're geniuses. You're not a genius. People that speak on stage are just people that have bothered to say yes to speaking on stage. If anyone's making any notes from my lecture, this is a summary of everything I've said. Cheers.